Hello, um, this is John Davis, the new Chief Justice of the Earth Realm, and today I would like to follow up on a situation that happened yesterday with the phone company Verizon. You know, since I've been away from home, uh, I left Illinois back in April, through the request of the Creator to leave because of that situation there with the ex. And I've been here now going on 9 months, which I thought I would only be here maybe a couple of weeks or so. But time has been extended, and I've been away far longer than what I expected to be gone. So I mentioned all of that to say that my phone was a pay-as-you-go phone. I really didn't need a phone with unlimited this, that, and the other on it because I was at home with my computer. And I hardly ever used the cell phone anyway until I left and went out of town. And I didn't stay very long. So whatever amount of data I had would always be sufficient. But since I've been away this time and didn't expect to be gone this long, I ran out of data a couple of times. And so I went to purchase data. It was a track phone through Verizon. Verizon now owns track phone. And so each time I purchased it, they would always give me an understanding that I would be getting a certain amount of data for a certain amount of money. So after I make my purchase, when they sent me the actual amount of data I get, it didn't reflect what they advertised to me in conversation on the phone when I called for it. Like for instance, on this last amount of data I purchased it December the 3rd. And I was getting it for 6 months. I was told by the representative that I would have data for 6 months for $204. And the data ran out within a month. And so I wasn't able to come online on social media to, as my normal behavior. So I called the company again and explained to them that my data was gone and it had been agreed that I get 6 months of data and I've only used it a month and it cut off. And so this particular representative that I talked to, he checked everything out and he said, yeah, I see where it was told you that. He said, so I'm going to turn it back on and it's going to last to June 3rd. I was like, okay, thank you so much, sir. They sent me a survey, I filled it out, and I gave them good ratings on it. Then the very next day, I used it one day, and then the day after that, it would turn off again. Now, the first time it was turned off, I went over to another area where I usually access Wi-Fi because I had what you call Bluetooth tethering, where you can plug in if you find a Wi-Fi in the area. And so I went over to plug in and turn on the phone so I could check in to see what you all were doing here on social media. And they start sending glitches through the phone, you know, different pages, spam like. And I kept trying to get on for an hour or two, and they wouldn't let me on. And this happened 2 different days. And so I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, I got upset. Every time I tried to get on, they glitch it. Just keep sending pages across the screen where they cut me off. And that went on for over an hour, so I wasn't able to access YouTube. So having these same experiences twice, now this is the 4th time, really I went in, but 2 times they made sure I couldn't come online by accessing that Wi-Fi. And I filled around over an hour attempting to get online, and I couldn't get on. So I told them I wasn't on the phone. I just talked out in the air that I was going to file a complaint against them and sue them. And I said, somebody going to go to jail because you all are doing this deliberately. And they still kept going on with the foolishness. And so it came to me to just talk out loud, explaining to them my position and that I wanted to seek help. When I did that, they stopped it right away. And so I want to follow through on this because this is a major corporation, in fact, a conglomerate, where Verizon actually, they control TracFone, they control Straight Talk in Walmart, which I was shocked to know. And I would like to have an audit done to see how many other people that they are doing like this and file a formal complaint in court to have them prosecuted, because they promised me 6 months of data and I only got 5 weeks. And they got it recorded. They have their voice recorded, giving it to me. And so I want to get the collective and the Soul Tribe together so I can form possibly a committee. It doesn't have to be any more than 3 or 4 people to have an audit done in order to see if we have enough evidence of them treating others like this to file a class action suit against them, because they are deliberately, 4 times in a row, 4 consecutive times, I call in and they claim they were going to give it to me and then cut it back off. And so let's hold to this idea to lodge a formal complaint and maybe even on some of the platforms, some of the psychics, light workers, or seers, or what have you, or whoever you call yourself, name, ask people, have they been promised any data? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one that's been treated like this. And these companies, because they're so big, they feel they can get away with doing the little man any kind of way. You follow? But we want to put a check on this activity. Right. We're going to make them answer to it. And not only with fines, because they deliberately carried on a lot of foolishness to keep me from connecting online when they had no right to it. And I told them that some of them going to be in pink jumpsuits. That's right. Just because you're a CEO and you can't handle your subordinates, it doesn't, you're responsible. And don't think you're too big to not go to jail, because you are not. You're just flesh and blood. And we will put you in jail. You understand that? You're going to get in charge of that system, and it's going to operate with respect for the population. If not, you're going to go to jail. Now, doing me like that 4 different times, that shows no control at all over that corporation. So somebody got to answer to this. And we're going to do an audit to see if we have enough, because I'm sure I'm not the only one been treated like that. You promised me 6 months and then give me 5 weeks after I complained and complained and complained. And then you got tired of me complaining, and then you started glitching, sending glitches to my phone when I seek to find access through Wi-Fi. You turn it off illegally. Okay, so I go try to attempt to find Wi-Fi to reconnect, and then you find out I'm still trying to get on social media, and then you come there and send glitching pages, spam, to keep me off. You did that twice, 2 different days, and played with me over an hour. So somebody got to answer to this, because a formal complaint will be filed in court. Right. It's time to check you all. And a lot of more of your cooperation, you will get checked, because we know what you're doing. You got food prices sky high. Coffee was like $9, you got it $20 and something. Right, a container. These prices got to come down. These are decrees. Those prices got to come down. I don't care if you have to check with the distributing warehouses or manufacturers, but the retailers got the prices up sky high, way too high. Not just coffee, all of these food prices. And people need food to live, right? And if you're going to scrounge and make them bend over backwards to get something just to stay alive, get food just to stay alive, it's not going to be. These prices are going to come down and reflect normalcy. You're making a profit. You don't have to make a super profit. So these prices are coming down, or you're going to come out of these corporations. It's simple as that. Most of y'all don't belong on this continent anyway. This is no America. The name of this continent is Africa. It's called North America, but it's Africa, India, and Asia. You renamed it so you could keep it. And we Hebrews live here. And you brought a group of people from Hindustan, and you label them Native American, when they had no place here. Maybe some of them don't know that, but I know. And many of us Hebrews know that they came from Hindustan, the country you all call India today. But this is India. This is Africa, and this is Asia. And if you people read Psalms 83, 83rd number of Psalm, I wrote those Psalms. Not every single one, but the one, I'm King David. So the one that you see King David on is really Khan Dawi. But if you, in Hebrew, but if you see King David on, that's me. I wrote those poems. I wrote those songs. And I have poems written now. But this is Africa. For all of you that don't know it, this is Africa, this is India, and this is Asia. And these so-called Native Americans, even if they don't know it, they came from Hindustan. They came to this country in the 1770s. They came here to be actors in movies. Because they wanted to pretend, these colonizers and attackers, they wanted to pretend that we were just naked natives here, when we had a sprawling civilization here, more modern than any place on earth. And these Capitol buildings you see now and courthouses, everywhere you see them, they were already here. They didn't build them, they just came in and took them over. And we have the number of every war we fought here, trying to keep these people off of this continent. We fought them for over 200 years. And in 1864, they finally took the last Hebrew down, which they lied like that was the end of slavery. It was never a civil war here. It was all fighting of us. They killed almost 200 million of us, for those of you that don't know that. And to think that you're going to get away with that, even though we are learning some scientific things concerning, the quantum theory of life. But remember, people were in heaven and going to heaven long before science began these studies. And I was aware even before they started presenting here on YouTube the quantum theory. I had looked into it some, but I saw how it connect with with spirituality. I see it. I saw it. I just hadn't spent any time studying it and making it connect, because I was satisfied with spirituality. I've been to heaven, went through the 12 gates, something science doesn't know anything about. That's why you can feel me shifting every place I go. That's why everybody that feel this energy, if they are meaning right, they would love to be around it, because this is a heavenly vibration. I don't know if you can get that from the quantum theory, because I went through all 12 gates and was magnetically sealed. You can't go there unless you go through the second death. Also, this is back to the ex now, my ex. She said, paid Dark High Priestess to send me sickness and disease spell. But once you go through the second death, you can't catch disease. You become immortalized. Can't no disease afflict my body. She tried to put it on me, putting stuff in my food and water. She was trying to give me a disease. But once you go through the second death even stops your aging. Whatever age you are, when you go through the second death, it stops it. See, the soul, you became a living soul made in the image and likeness of the Creator. That means your invisible essence is already eternal. So once you enter the second death here, that means, because the soul developed the body, and that's the biology. But once you go through the second death, then you enter again the eternal essence. And no disease or death has any power over you. And that's the truth. That's when your age stops. The biology is overcome by the physiology, the very basic building block for life. You're back into the eternal essence. And no disease has power over your body. So they couldn't give me a disease. Maybe they thought they could. Yeah, you put a stop on disease, you put a stop on age, and you call a halt to death. You ask the question, oh death, where's thy sting? Oh grave, where's your victory? Because the sting of death is a sin. And thanks to the law of life, not know Jesus Christ, they changed all of that. We got the book from the scribe that transliterated it. And he said in that book that the Spanish soldiers told him everywhere you see the law of life, write Jesus Christ. And in the Old Testament, wherever you see Creator, you write God, a Lord God, or God of hosts, or something like that. You see, they intended for man not to know the truth. People so greedy for money and for power, they didn't care what happened to the population, long as they get what they want. And the descendants of these colonizers are still here in these political positions, professional ball players, celebrities, running medical institutions, schools. They got the top positions that we should have. And we're going to get them. Because you all are coming out of power completely. Right? It's our time to take charge. So the Supreme Court got to be emptied out. All Congress got to be removed. Your time is up here. You understand that, don't you? If not, you will. And very soon. That's why in this message here, this is a call for the soul tribes and the collective and all of those that are of goodwill and work in good faith. We're calling for you to come together so we can begin our creative endeavor. Yeah, we're here to bring some balance to every aspect in society, be it political, social, medical, governmental, every single aspect in society, every single institution in society. Food and drug, we're here to bring balance. Law enforcement, armies, navies, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard, National Guard, wherever there's leadership, we're getting ready to rest you. Let you retire from those positions as we gradually assume our positions. You've lost, so your time is out here as far as ruling. You understand that, don't you? If not, you will. And you will very soon. So now let's remember too, a couple of decrees that was made a couple of weeks ago. One of them was to remove high fructose from food and drinks. High fructose is nothing but a poison. It broke my body out. My body was broke out with it, and I know other people. And that's what causes diabetes in people. Even young kids, young children, 10 and 12 years old, got diabetes. That stuff breaks down your immune system. I used to couldn't catch a cold. But after drinking so many soft drinks, I started catching cold. And I was wondering why it was happening. So I looked in the ingredients that was on the bottle, and that was the only word I couldn't understand what it was. So when I ran a reference, I found that it was a chemical sweetener. That it was not a substance, like food. It was made from the kernel of corn that will boil with such high temperature, like 2,000 or 3,000 degrees, as I can recall, and was mixed with other substances, and it was able to sweeten pops or soft drinks or anything 20 times, 20 to 1. Like sugar, if you take 1 spoon to sweeten something, that will sweeten it 20 times. Like if it took 1 gram of sugar to sweeten, let's say, a cookie, then this chemical was sweetening 20 of them. But it wasn't a substance in itself. It would manipulate the taste buds with a certain vibration to give you the same taste as sugar, but it's only really tricking the taste bud with a vibration. That chemical made it vibrate, and you get the same effect as sugar. But it's a poison. It's not even good for animals. So that must lead to food. And we must follow through on this. Also, I made a decree concerning insurance, especially liability insurance. Now, the law requires in every state that you carry liability insurance, and that's the basic type of insurance where you protect the next driver's vehicle. So, for instance, let's say that your car goes out where it's not functional, it's not operational, and it's sitting up. If that car is sitting up, it's not out in the street where you can do damage to anyone's car. So now the law might require you to have license on that vehicle, but the law won't be able to require you to have insurance, because insurance, the purpose of insurance is to protect the other driver's vehicle. And if your car is disabled and it's going to be disabled for 6 months or more, you will not have to buy insurance for that vehicle, since the purpose of it is to provide protection. The purpose of that insurance money would be to provide protection for the other driver's vehicle. If you're not driving, you can't do any damage to another vehicle, and therefore insurance companies have no need to put any of your money in their coffers. The other part of this insurance law is that if you are wealthy enough to provide the same coverage as the insurance companies do for vehicles, and you can prove that you have the money, and I think the basic insurance policies are either the coverage they give is either $20,000 or $25,000. If you're able to have that type of money and you can prove it and you have it in excess of what you need, then you don't have to pay insurance each month. As long as you got that money and can prove it, you have it on file that if you injure another person or damage another person's vehicle and you're able to pay, then you are free from having to pay monthly payments, so long as you have enough coverage. Because that's what it's about in the first place. It's not about making insurance companies rich. And some of them have gotten so used to it till they overdo it. They bleed the public. And it's time out for this stuff. We are bringing balance. And I'm working on many other situations here. Many others that can relieve the public. All this buying of weapons of war. If you had some love or peace in your heart, you wouldn't need to fight. But the wrong people are in charge. And it caused confusion and discord and war all over this world. You all have messed it up because you never belonged in power in the first place. You come here and took over. Now it's time to snatch you out. And that's what's going on. You coming out of power. It didn't belong to you. You come here with a false charter, acting like you selling, you purchasing this continent. You can get out of here with that nonsense. It's not going on. You Moors, you Gentiles, you Spaniards, not these Spaniards that's here today, but these melanated Spaniards that attacked my family in Jerusalem, which they added a J and call it Jerusalem, which is nothing but a deception. And over there where they fighting, they think that's they fighting over there thinking that's Jerusalem. No, it was on this continent. It was there in Peru. They made the J, they just made the J in the 16th century. So it wasn't no Jesus 2,000 years ago. All of that is a deception conjured up by these Jews. And in your scripture, Revelation chapter 2, chapter 3, at verse 9, in both of those chapters, they tell you exactly who the Jews are. They tell you right there in the scripture. This is nothing I'm making up, it's there. They tell you that they're from the household of Satan. They're from the devil. And that's how you got your Jesus Christ. They brought him there. He was the king, which was nothing but a name. Read your Bible. It's there. It's in there. It tells you who they are. It tells you who Jesus Christ is. It wasn't a person. It was a name. And I think it was Leonardo da Vinci, if that's the way you pronounce his name, he painted the picture of this white character. And couldn't no white man be a savior anyway? I'm the Hebrew Hamashiach, not Messiah, Hamashiach. I'm here to enlighten the people to bring the truth to them. And that's what I'm doing. But I don't pretend to be a God like they made this so-called Jesus Christ. It wasn't a person, people. It was a name they asked you to believe in. Just believe on that name they created. And they just made that name in 1524. They made the J and the C then. Those letters didn't even exist 2,000 years ago. Where you at? Just because your mama and your dad accepted that, you think it's right because they had it? No. They had diseases too. They had diabetes. Some of them had polio. They had high blood pressure. You can go on and on. Do you think it's right to have because they had it? Let me tell you something. The Creator did not make any disease. Didn't make any sicknesses. None of that stuff existed. Those things came about because of man's disobedience. When you disobey, the Creator is not going to come and stop you from disobeying. You just suffer the consequences after. He asked us not to even marry into other nations. Right? We couldn't even marry outside our tribe. It was 12 tribes. We couldn't even marry in the next tribe. Why? He didn't want the frequencies mixed. So you're going to marry into another nation? It's a whole different frequency. You don't know what kind of diseases you're bringing in, viruses, in those disobedience. Even mental problems you can create. Those whole different DNA strands. He's not going to stop you. He just gave you the law to follow. The disobedience leads to consequences. And as long as you're in disobedience, the diseases will always be here. The viruses will always be here. And there won't be any getting rid of them. All you'll be able to do is have some treatments for them. But a treatment is not a cure. Why you can't get rid of them? Because you're still in disobedience. If we are of similar blood, and we can't marry, I'm from the tribe of Judah. They put a J on it and call it Judah. But it's Judah, which means high places. If I can't marry anyone from Manasseh's tribe, or Asher, or Dan, or any of the others, what do I look like marrying in another nation? These are my relatives, and I can't marry one of them because it's a different frequency, a different vibration. You don't know what you're bringing into the world when you disobey. But you can rest for sure you're bringing something because it's disobedient. Now, some of you don't want to be told that. You don't want to be told that two men shouldn't sleep with each other. You don't want to be told that. You think I'm in your business. But I don't even know you. If I say 9 times 9 is 81, you might think it's 86. If I say that, I'm only giving you some understanding in the law of mathematics. If I tell you that two men shouldn't sleep together, nor should two women sleep together, I'm giving you the law of life. The real biology. He made them male and female. That's right there in the first chapter of Genesis. And said, be fruitful and multiply. Because two men can't be fruitful, two women can't be fruitful. So something ain't right there. But I'm not in your business. I'm just into the truth. I don't even know you. Do what you want to do. But it's my job to say it. If you don't like it, then see the Creator. Not me. Because I'm going to tell it. But you can do what you want to do. You grown. And you can take what comes after you do it. You grown still. But this is the truth. Now you'll find in the book of Isaiah where the conditions had gotten so bad on earth that the Creator was looking for somebody to sin. It wasn't no Jesus Christ. None of that mess existed. I don't care how long you believe it. It ain't nothing but a deception. It was the Aborigines that brought the truth to this earth. But anyway, in Isaiah, and I've had it in one of the videos there, I said, send me, I'll go. Send me, I'll go. That was me that made that statement. It hasn't been anybody before me. And I'm the last Hebrew prophet. And I'm here to wrap things up. You can accept it if you want to. If you don't have to. But judgment is on the earth. I told you that. I think it was back in 2000 or 2001. I mean, 2020 or 2021. When you first saw my light. It took me a minute to find out that you were talking about me, because I don't see a light on me. I don't see it. I don't see myself as you see me. No, I don't see a light. You say it's inside and out. I have to take your word for it because I don't see it. The way you see yourself, that's the way I see myself. It wasn't for me to see. It was for you to see, for the world to see, because I am the light of the world. Anybody say Jesus Christ was, you are a lie. And the truth ain't nowhere near it. And I don't care how long you believed it. And neither is any Yeshua. How you call it? Yeshua. That's supposed to be a transliteration, a writing for Jesus. It has nothing to do with him. Joshua came before David, before me. And I've lived 8 or 10 lifetimes. And so Joshua came about 2,000 years ago. But that was Joshua. Not no Jesus. His name was Yeshua. They took the Y off and put a J on it, like they did Jerusalem. Took the P off and put a J on it and made it Jerusalem. But that's right there in Peru. And our old temple they're digging out now over in the rainforest. And these people over there in so-called Israel, over there the West Bank in that area, killing each other, thinking that's Jerusalem over there. Ain't nothing but a lie. Our old temple is right there in the rainforest, right out from Peru there. And the other one, the second temple, is the Kremlin. That's right. It's the Kremlin. These are historical facts. This place called North America is the old world. And we are the real Indians. And that's the truth. I still didn't get a chance to get back to John 10, but we're going to establish the fact that the so-called gospel, which is God's spell, that's what it is on the Hebrew language. They replaced all our Hebrew characters' name and put English names there, which is a violation of literary standards. But they didn't care. That's what they intended to do. They wanted to hide our identity. Read Psalms 83. They tell you they wanted to destroy us as a nation. And they almost did, because only about 10% of us left. Because they killed about 200 million of us. Right here, they killed so many of us till it produced an ice age. Everything froze up because so many people stopped breathing. And this is why judgment is on the earth. Somebody had to pay for those deeds. We know we're into the quantum expression of reality now. But don't forget the kingdom influence, because that's where heaven is. And consciousness is not everything. No. It's the creator that made consciousness to be. When the creator breathed the breath of life in man, it may appear to you that consciousness is all, but it's not. The Creator made consciousness. Man became a living soul. That's how consciousness entered the world. Your invisible self, not a Christ, your invisible self, you awaken to. Longer you look outside of yourself for some man to come, it's not coming because it never was one. It was only a name they gave you. Now, if you hear this, you are hearing the real truth. If you don't, you're stuck in blindness. It's not a Yeshua, and it's not a Jesus Christ, and it never was. Well, it was a Yeshua, but he was Joshua, the one that came here and went out to the promised land, which is the Utah area. It really was Utah. They took the D out and put a T in there. You can get the Google map and find about 8 or 10 of those places right now. Manassas is out there, Mount Pisgah, Mount Zion, Gilead, Dan, Moab, all of those places right there in the book of Deuteronomy. They're right out there in so-called Utah, which is Judah, my tribe. And that's the truth. Pull up the Google map. You'll find these places. The River Jordan, because this is the old world. It's not a North America. This is Africa. Thank you.